Washington.
Hang on a second. Okay, it's the Lake Cowichan
Lollipops, and we picked that song because it only has one word, and we don't have to worry about whether we can remember the words to our song Lollipop, Lollipop.
How long have the Lollipops been in existence?
The Lollipops have been in existence for 6 years.
Okay.
And we have a sleepover at that lady's house. We go and sleep on her balcony all night, and her husband brings us coffee in bed in the morning on our foamies.
Oh. And you're going to put the Queen's name on here for me.
Oh, yes, I'm Queenie Morini Babini, T. Alagofini, T-legged, toe-legged, bull-legged Morini.
I'm not putting that in. What's your real name?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Queen Maureen Lobus.
Maureen?
Maureen Lobus. L-O-E-B-U-S.
Perfect. Thank you. Enough here that I can get it later, so I don't have to write it down while we're talking, okay? Born September 22nd, 1929, youngest of 4 children, and your parents were Sidney, Bob, and Elizabeth.
Sidney James, known as Bob.
Okay. She didn't put that in. Sidney James. Bob. And Elizabeth Lizzie Darby. Nee McNeil. And they were both Valley pioneers here, right? Okay. Elizabeth came to the Valley from Scotland as a young child about 1898 with her family, the McNeils, and settled a small farm on Bainbridge Road. Sidney came from England in the early 1900s. He purchased property from Mr. Joe Halpenny and started a farm on Halpenny Road in Beaver Creek. He married Elizabeth in 1915, took her there as a bride, and they lived out their days there. You were born and raised on this farm and have lived your entire life here. Is that where the farm was originally, just as you come?
The whole area.
The whole area, including here. Okay. The original farmhouse burnt in the 1960s, and sadly an irreplaceable archive of family and valley photos were lost. Yeah, that would have been bad. A new modern home was built, and Jim, his mother and brother resided there. Jim then married and brought his bride to the farm and raised his own family there. This is Heather talking. My grandmother lived at the farm until her death in 1981.
That could be correct, because the girls know better than we do. I do, anyhow.
I recall many visits to her from family historians such as Margaret Trebet and Trevor Goodall. There was a story, I believe, written by Margaret in the A.B. Times when my grandmother turned 80 in 1972. I'll have to look for that. Maybe there was. There is information and photos in the museum archives about the McNeil Darby history. Well, yeah, we know that. But Jim recalls the days of steam trains and an active McLean mill. He has seen many changes to the valley. He remembers old-time farming in Beaver Creek, and for many years he was a member of the Farmers Institute and hayed for farms all over the valley. He's presently the oldest member of the co-op. Right? That's... What number are you in the co-op?
65.
65. At one time, you would have been number 65 at 65 years old. That was kind of bizarre. Yeah. My father has had very good health until this year, and it's really a blessing that he's here for his 80th. Have you had health issues just lately?
Which?
Have you had health issues just lately?
Oh, yeah.
Because she says you have had good health until this year. Okay.
Last year was the last year I bailed.
Oh, okay.
I didn't bail this year.
Okay. Okay, 2008 was the last year, right? Okay. What sort of is... There's a story here, an article that she photocopied.
Well, that's...
And this is about Lizzie.
Yeah.
Shirley Colpin wrote this, and this is the picture that we're going to use. Now, she said your memory is pretty good.
That picture was taken by Miss Turbet, the other one that you have.
The one with your mom, Jim's mom. Yeah. Yeah, the company of children helps Mrs. Darby to think young. Doreen and Heather are two of her 9 grandchildren.
Yeah, well, you see, they live downstairs.
Oh, okay.
And I could, yeah, and that's the whole article that she wrote.
Yeah. There must be another one, though. This is written by somebody else, so not Meg Trebet. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen that picture with the hand.
Yeah.
That's only half a load of hay.
So, are you on top of the hay here?
No, that bam. Let's see.
Maybe. Are you on the tractor?
Yeah, that's me on the tractor.
Okay.
And father beside the tractor, brother up one top.
When do you think that was taken? The picture, when would this have been taken?
That picture would have been taken right the day the hay was loaded.
Yeah, what year though?
What year?
Yeah, what time? Would it have been the 50s?
Yeah, mid-50s.
Yeah, because your dad, he doesn't look that old in the picture. It's far away, but and he
See
passed.
that picture? The barn was opened in 51. Yeah, mid-50s.
Okay. And
There's another picture somewhere with that loader on one wagon and a load of hay on behind. 2 wagons.
Unfortunately, I think Heather or Doreen have got this.
she had some pictures with her, but this was the best one because it showed, they were all taken far away, but this one here we might be able to blow up a little bit, but it gives you a good idea.
With the old camera, which you only had,
Yeah.
all you had was old.
What's your brother's name? What's your brother's name on top of the hay here?
Yeah.
What's his name?
It was Ted.
Ted?
There's another one with sticker for you. He went by Ted, but his name was Edmund Lloyd.
Okay. Well, we'll leave it at Ted, because that's who's good. Everybody's going to know Ted.
Yeah, I think everybody in the valley would know this.
Now, are you the only one left in your family now? All the brothers and everybody are gone, eh? Okay. Now, you just own this part?
For 25 years, we farmed the whole clearing.
Yeah. But somebody else owns the rest down below now, right?
It's all owned by another chap.
Okay.
This was 25 acres out of the 100 acres that Tom Bourne originally got.
So
Then we added 25 acres to the south.
but when your dad bought the place, it was 100 acres.
I think that he worked for it.
Oh, okay.
All these creeks out every field for Doug Strait.
Okay.
The fisheries says that the fish won't come up unless you dig a creek straight. They still come up those creeks. Fisheries, they stop down in the swamp.
We have 50 of the farm and 80 of what we call the lakes, what we walk our camp.
Yeah. But it's nice here. I mean, it really is. You're kind of, you can't see anything because the trees are there, so you don't see any civilization, right?
When they built the old house here in 1915, they could see Drinkwater's
Okay.
was the nearest resident, and they could see that light at night.
Straight over that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on the side of the Beaver Creek Road further out.
Yeah, yeah.
You've probably done stories on them too.
Probably, but if not, I've certainly heard about it. The Drinkwaters, yeah, there's so many of them, eh? You know.
Well, there's not many left now.
No, not many left now.
Adela Falls is named after one of the old-time Drinkwaters.
Okay.
You know, Adela Falls, the head of Great Central.
Yeah.
That's a Drinkwater name.
Okay. Yeah, that's an old-fashioned name. They don't use that name much. Nobody names their kids, but those names are coming back in style again. You know.
Yeah, I guess either I bought for grandmother a book with names in it, and it had like how Della Falls.
Oh yeah, name places. Yeah. Place names or whatever. Yeah.
It was after one of the wives of one of the Drinkwaters.
Now, the one thing I wanted to ask you about, because I'm doing some work on Bob Cowley as well. I'm doing a story on Bob Cowley.
I was wondering if
You have done a story.
No, I did a little one on him, but his daughter and his wife gave me a bunch of pictures and some information. But
When did he go?
well, they were
2000
Was in the paper the other day.
Yeah, he's been gone for about 8 years now.
Yeah.
But Yvette was out here for your birthday.
That's right.
Yeah, she came out here. Yeah, and so I'm going to talk. It's going to be over at Diane's house tonight when I go there. So I said I would ask if maybe you remember something you want to say about Bob Cowley, because you knew him quite well.
What you together?
He was quite a hunter, I know that.
Yeah.
We hunted together in the valley.
He only had, he was at the caribou several times.
Yeah.
But he mostly hunted in the valley, and he hunted every day. They did the work, and he worked. He started work when he was about 14 or something.
Yeah, he used to work out at the Cowley Mill when that was running. Then he went to the McLean Mill.
Moved in the McLean Mill.
Did you ever work out at the McLean Mill?
No.
What did you do when you were younger? Did you
I
log?
stayed on the farm.
Oh, you just did farm work your whole life?
It was when
You did farm work, but you were working for Rayner and Brock when I married you.
yeah, but
And then
And
you
then-
had other work before that.
see, we were in the dairy business,
Okay.
and that got too complicated. So I went out to work, and the brother took the tractor and went on working out for other people.
Oh, okay. When did you get out of the dairy business?
Well, I got out in about 61, and he sold out in 63 or 64. But he got some beef cattle
Okay.
and went out to work with the tractor, and he worked all over the valley.
So when did your brother Ted?
Yeah.
When did he pass away?
Mid-70s.
Oh, okay. Yeah, quite a while ago.
Yeah, well, time goes by, but I've been out, be 20 years on the 1st of July next year. But I've been off the trucks.
Okay. You drove truck for Rayner and Brock?
Yeah.
Okay.
I drove for Bob Mills to start with.
Yeah. I know
And
Bob.
I was on the Franklin River Run,
Oh, yeah.
and I went off that onto the Rayner trucks.
You like driving truck? Did you?
You know, it was the easiest. guys that come in there after 8 hours on the truck, and it'd be just about dead.
Yeah.
Why don't you try 16 hours a day for 7 days a week
Yeah.
for a year?
Yeah. That must have been kind of lonely for you, eh?
No, because grandmother, I had been partly raised on a farm in Alberta.
Oh, okay.
We could see a neighbor's house, but we couldn't see the people who owned the property, but came right up to our front door. But I had grandmother upstairs.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you were busy then?
Yeah. And first child came, and about a year and a half after we were married. But unfortunately, soon after she came, grandmother took sick. So I looked after grandmother for a good many years.
When did you guys get married?
1966.
What?
He wants to know when we got married. I was going to say, was it 67?
That was 66.
No, Lorraine was born in 98 because she's 41.
Okay.
And Heather was
Yeah,
born
we
in
got married the same time as they spoke. 67.
Yeah.
67.
Yeah.
And Heather was born in 71 because we went through the baby book yesterday.
I'm sorry, what is your first name?
Phyllis.
Phyllis.
So, of course, after grandmother took sick, I saw her every day or twice a day or that.
She always stayed here with you? When
Well, I could say yes. Within the last couple of months, she went down to Ucula to the nephew.
Oh.
Up until then.
Okay.
But because it was cooler down there and it was summertime, it was very
Yeah.
hot here. I would say that she was a more patient grandmother than I know. She was a better, she was a more patient grandmother than I am.
It takes a lot of patience, that's for sure. Yeah, the main idea is just to do a nice little write-up about you, the fact that you're celebrating your 80th birthday, still got your health, basically. You know, what do you do now? Any hobbies or anything?
Do very little.
Oh, gardening.
Just the garden. I canned tomatoes the other day, and the neighbor here, he's supposed to get part of the garden, but he doesn't need to bother taking it. So. As it gets ready, I harvest it.
Yeah. So you were saying earlier you didn't think you would ever make 80?
No.
You said earlier when I came in that you didn't think you would ever make 80 years old.
No.
How come?
Well, nobody else's family has.
Is that right? You're the first one to make
They've
80?
come close to it, but well, mother's 79.
Your dad?
Your mother was 89, but I don't know how old Aggie, and Betty certainly wasn't 80.
Betty was only in her mid-70s,
And Ted wasn't 80.
and Aggie was in her late 70s.
When did your father die?
He went young. He was about 72, wasn't he?
Well, he had passed away before.
So, Heather mentioned grandfather in the early 60s passed away. Grandmother in 1981.
Well, she would know grandmother because she was in school when
Yeah.
grandmother passed away.
Yeah. But she wouldn't have been that old when her grandfather died.
She wasn't here because
Yeah.
I wasn't here.
Oh, yeah, he died before you got married then.
Oh, yeah, he died before we got married.
Oh.
And the house at Burton was rebuilt before.
But the house wasn't here. It was down there, was it not? Oh, right here. So you always kind of lived on the hill?
Yeah, the old house was right here.
Oh, okay. So it's on the same place that this house is on?
Yeah. This house is a little bigger on each way, but it's basically, you see that holly tree out there?
Mm-hmm.
It was outside the bay window in the old house.
Oh, so the house faced that.
The house was back that way a little bit.
Yeah.
So the holly trees were both there, and that snowball, and the new just was built. Well, run right up to the holly tree there.
When was the house built? This one?
64.
Now, how long would that have been after the house built or burnt? The original house?
The original house burned in the early 60s.
Okay.
In April, I think. When they moved in that
Yeah,
fall.
she just put the original farmhouse burnt in the 1960s.
Yeah.
So it obviously was 64.
So the old house burned in the early April, and they dug the foundation for this on the 10th of July, and the 3 months it was partly finished.
So would the house have burnt down in 64, the original house too then?
They went right ahead and built a new one.
They built it right after.
Yeah.
We were in this house for winter, I'd like to say.
So the other house must have burnt early in 1964.
Yeah.
So what do you recall about different things over your 80 years of living here?
Well, when I started out, when I was 80 years ago, you mean?
Yeah. Well, not too much when you were first born.
We lived through the war years, through the dirty 30s.
Mm-hmm.
We always had something to eat. And then we lived through the war years where we had blackout. People have forgotten about that. And we'd go out in the night in the dark and watch for planes going over. Same as they do now. And there's lots of them go over now.
Yeah.
But then in 48, we were just farming this, the cattle running out the back. 48, went to keep the cattle all home, and we took over the whole clearing. That had gone broke, more or less. There was nothing left. They were supposed to come back and milk the cows, and they never came back, so we went up and milked the cows. Ever since that, we milked the cows.
Who was that had the cows then?
That,
Who didn't come back to milk the cows?
what was the guy that's dead and gone now?
No, but whoever owned it.
But it always was owned by the same people.
Yeah.
But it was leased out.
You guys owned it, right?
We took over the lease.
Oh, okay.
And that included the whole.
That was in 48.
Yeah.
So then you had over 100 acres then. You would have had more than 100 acres in 1948 then, right?
Yeah, we took over the whole.
Yeah.
Would amount to probably 50 or 60 acres.
Plus what you already had.
Yeah, roughly.
So tell me about school.
Well, I went to where the school used to be,
Beaver
at the
Creek?
end of Bainbridge Road,
Okay.
where there's the house.
Yeah.
The school was there.
Okay.
They moved it, and during the war, they had a school out there for Camp 1.
Okay, yeah.
And after the war was over, they could transport kids. They moved that school down and added it to this one.
Okay.
And in 46, I guess it was, they started busing all the senior. I'd been out early. And they started busing all high school into town. And the junior ones to this school. Well, then this school, it was too small. They only had an acre and a half. They moved up to where they are now, where they're developing it now.
Yeah, well, just on past Turner, just before the Stampo store.
And I never went to school there. I went to school in the old school when it was down opposite Bainbridge Road, and it's up the road now.
Yeah.
I can point it out to you up the road.
Okay.
And I only went as grade 8 because there was no bus transportation into town at that time. There was the following year.
Yeah, and you never went back. You never went to high school after that then. Yeah. You ever regretted not going to high school? You're busy anyway. You had jobs. There were lots of
had
jobs.
lots to do, and that was the main thing in those days.
Yeah.
Keep busy and get enough to eat.
How did you two meet?
We met in Victoria on New Year's Eve.
This sounds like a TV movie, eh?
And I was in Fort St. John.
Oh, okay.
And my mother, I guess she was maybe living then. And we met at Friends of Jim's.
Okay. In Victoria.
In Victoria.
On New Year's Eve. So, was a long courtship, or?
No, it was from New Year's till September.
Okay, then you got married the following September
No.
in 67. So you met New Year's Eve, 1966.
And
Yeah.
we're married in September.
So that's quite a happy New Year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any regrets? You're going to be 80 years old tomorrow. Anything you wish you would have done different?
You go times. Like, I get kind of upset at times. People, we were at war against Japan and Germany, right? Well, they treat Germany now like they were a real good neighbor. The same with Japan. They're a real good neighbor. We were out in the dark looking for them coming after us.
Yeah.
And when I was old enough, I just missed going in the army, and I joined the Rangers.
Yeah. I know about the
And we went out and we had target practice out at Camp 1.
Okay.
We were 1 division, we were another.
Yeah.
They issued us with rifles, not 100 with for 10 years.
Well, I know.
Getting back to Bob Cully, he always said they were no good, those Ranger rifles.
The old 30-30s. A lot of people.
30 carbines.
They liked them. You could buy them after.
Yeah.
It was.
Bought them for $5.
Did you buy one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever
I
happened
used
to
it
it?
for 10 years.
What did you What did you do with the rifle later?
Well, I used it for hunting, and then in '55 we started hunting moose.
Oh yeah.
And I got a moose gun,
Yeah.
and the rifle burnt in the old house.
Oh, you lost a lot of stuff, eh?
He got out with the two mounted heads, and the 2 guns was all he got out of the house.
Wow.
I didn't get anything.
Well, nobody got hurt. Nobody got hurt. So
No,
that's a blessing.
that was amazing.
You can always replace things, but as best as you can. I mean,
Well, he couldn't. Technically, he couldn't replace either of those deer heads
no.
because they're both special.
Yeah.
The one has got his certificate above it.
You're talking about Bob or Ted?
Yeah.
You're talking Ted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he wouldn't have been that
My
old.
father never did any mountain hunting
No.
because he was. I always knew him. He was lame.
Ted.
Yeah, no, my father.
Oh, your father. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay.
He was always lame and traveled in the bush.
Yeah.
He had his ankle
Okay.
smashed up. And
So your father was the one that got this. Well, was he alive when the house burned down?
no, he wasn't.
He was gone by then.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Ted couldn't have been that old when he passed away, eh?
No, he was only. He only got one. I think he only got 1 year of
Old age pension.
old age pension. It was at that time.
Yeah.
I think he got a year of it.
So what do you think of when you turn 80 years old? Like you say, you just go with the flow. You can't ever wish you would have done something different in your life?
Well, at times there was something different, but like I said, we just grew with the times.
Yeah.
We still say we had the best of times.
Even though there were some of the worst of times.
20 years ago, it was quite different to what it is now.
Yeah. What do you think of the way it is now?
Well, you grow with the times. It's the same old story.
Yeah.
But
Anything disappoint you about when you see certain things?
I don't worry about what they do now, but computers hadn't hardly come in when we were still weighing everything into the old way.
Yeah.
A few years after that, everything became computerized.
Yeah. So, how old were you when you quit school and didn't go back?
About 15.
Yeah, you'd already been. Then you went right to work. No, not living on a farm. You were working all along.
Yeah.
It wasn't an easy life.
No.
No.
The only time I got away was when we went up the mountain hunting.
Yeah. Yeah. So what kind of relationship did you have with your father? Because obviously he didn't go hunting, you were saying. So did you spend a lot of time with Bob Cowley?
No, not until I was retired.
Oh, okay, yeah. And then did you go hunting with him just locally, or
mostly hunted birds?
Yeah, did you
go
go
local?
Yeah. You never went up north with him for moose?
I don't think I started hunting with him when he went up north.
Yeah. But nice guy.
He was quite a guy in the bush. It's hard to follow.
Yeah, yeah. He's in pretty good shape.
Well, he'd been packing a gun since he was 8 years old, so...
Yeah. Well, you shoot.
I didn't start packing a gun until I was 12 years old.
Yeah. Well, I guess, you did what you had to do.
Anybody that can go from here without any transportation at all, go out the back door of the house in the dark, and keep going until you got to the top of the mountain, which was 4 hours. That's what we talked.
That's what that's what Bob used to do? You did too?
We met Jack Summers up there one day.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Same spot, right?
Yeah.
And he'd come up from home, and we had come up from home. We met right on top. That was
pretty good navigating.
from here
Yeah.
to there is 4 hours. And it's only about 3 coming down.
Yeah. So what are you going to do at your 80? How are you going to celebrate tomorrow?
Nothing to celebrate.
The family came up in August and had a big do, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you had some friends over.
The one down was away this morning.
Yeah, she phoned me and she knew that I couldn't make it on the weekend. My son down at Lake Cowichan walking that 56 kilometers around the lake they have every year. So I was down there with him. And I said to her, well, if I don't make it out before you go, it's no big deal. I mean, your dad's the one I want to take the picture of.
Before my time, there was a gravel pit back in here when they hauled with team and wagon.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Hauled gravel from back in here.
Okay.
And my grandfather was doing the loading. And he'd load a load of the gravel.
Yeah, both daughters and all the grandchildren were here this.
Yeah.
Well, Doreen and 2 of the grandchildren went home yesterday because she go to work.
Yeah. They both live in Victoria, don't they?
Yeah, they both.
Yeah. So you had just the 2 girls?
Yeah, just the 2 girls.
That was enough, right?
They were educated at Beaver Creek School, which is now being renovated.
Yeah.
And then went to A.W. Neal. No, I went to the
Yeah. Yeah. But the story's not about them.
No.
It's about you. You're 80, and if you ever get a chance to think about things, maybe you could write them down, just as you're thinking about, or maybe get Phyllis to write it down.
I've followed your articles in the paper.
Okay.
There's many of them that I could comment on.
Hey, I'm here. Go ahead.
I kind of remember one about Cowley.
Yeah.
I took her license away, and I had to drive then, so I had to quit going out with Bob. But it's a good thing I did, because it wasn't long after that he didn't come home one day, and she phoned the guy that they looked after to go and see if he could find him, and he found him all right.
Yeah. Diane and Yvette told me how he passed away out at the landfill there. But from what I understand, that's the way he would have wanted to go, with a gun in his hand,
Right.
doing he loved doing, and so that's pretty fitting actually for him. And he went fast. He didn't, waste away anything.
He'd been around a lot.
Yeah.
And he'd logged everywhere in
Yeah.
the valley. There was to log. And
Did you ever hunt cougars with him?
I never hunted cougars with him. He was past hunting cougars. He got rid of the hounds
Yeah.
pretty well when I met him.
Oh, okay.
I got to hunting with him through the fact that the cougars killed my dog.
Oh, okay.
And then so I went hunting with him with his dog.
Hmm. How long ago would that have been that you started hunting with him?
Oh, when would that be?
Were we upstairs? I was almost going to say that we were upstairs.
It'd be 10, 15 years ago.
Grandma died.
Well, not that long ago, eh?
No,
But you must have known Bob growing around here.
he,
Grandma died in 181,
Yeah.
and then we moved upstairs.
Okay.
And I think Jim was hunting with him. Like after we moved upstairs, and you say he died, what, 2000?
I believe that.
Roughly.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah.
he didn't have that good dog too many years after that. So I'll never forget, we went up on Summit, which is out in towards McTush and up there.
Okay. Yeah.
On Summit, and we shot 9 blue grouse. We got in, the dog took us to the, we shot the whole one. That dog went to every grouse and brought it back, but it wouldn't bring back anything to me. It took everything to him.
Oh. Well, Falcon. So
That was a yellow lab.
Yeah. He had some good dogs over the years. He sure did.
And then he had the little dog after that was never that good.
I don't know.
It
I don't
passed away young.
When did he get rid of his dogs?
If the dog was no good, he took it out and shot it, that's all.
Yeah, but he wants to know when I think
When he stopped using the dogs.
dogs for cougars.
When he never got a new dog after that little black one died.
No, but when did he get rid of his dogs that he hunted cougars with? I think is what.
Oh, they sort of drifted away too, down to he didn't have any left.
He just never
Sort of just
replaced.
kept them so they
Yeah.
became nothing.
Yeah.
And, but that's all he knew was hunting.
Yeah.
He didn't think about anything else.
No, that Eddie was a good hunter. There's
They
absolutely
went
no
to
question.
church every week, but they went on Saturday night rather than Sunday because he ended off Sunday.
Yeah. Actually, there had once I started getting into it, talking Cougar Brown, there was Cougar Smith and Cougar Annie, but there were lots of people.
That article you did on Cougar Smith or Cougar Brown,
Yeah.
Cougar Brown lived at Camp A.
Well, he had a compound down there at Camp A, but whether Barry Wilson can't remember whether he actually lived there.
That deer head out there, my brother-in-law knew him quite well, and he could get through the gate. And he took us with him.
Who was your brother-in-law?
No, it was my brother-in-law knew Cougar.
No, what was his name, your brother-in-law?
Cooper. He ran Cooper's saws there.
Jim Cooper?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember seeing the name, yeah.
Yeah.
Down on Margaret Street.
And anyway, we got through the gate. He let us through the gate, and then he locked the gate too. And that was at Camp 4.
Mm-hmm.
And we got that, or my brother got that deer, and we were going out hunting again. He said, we better not leave it here, somebody will steal it. So they stuffed it in the trunk.
Hmm.
That was when we went hunting, and I shot a spike buck.
Mm-hmm.
Nice buck. And he threw that, and it arrived in the 37 Pontiac, and he just threw it in the front fender, and it stayed there. Well, we came out, and Cougar, he, you shooting things like that? He never saw that one.
Yeah, well, he was quite the guy, too.
Yeah, you want to believe it. And then when I was driving Franklin River truck, he was in that cabin down by the creek there.
Yeah, before you get to China Creek there, yeah. He was there for quite a while.
Yeah.
Different stories.
And he moved up from Camp 4 to there.
Okay.
There was only one place sleeping pole left to camp.
But then the cabin burnt down.
Yeah.
And he
Where
moved.
did he
Barry
go
said
then?
he moved out to the old Nanaimo Highway.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I found a story, and then a lady came in that used to live out Franklin, Millie Bagley, and her first husband, knew Cougar Brown really well, and they celebrated his 99th birthday at their house in town. So she brought me in a picture of them, and Ann Zicker was a good friend of Cougar Brown's too. They lived on First Avenue, and her daughter Shirley Smith now, but she used to be Shirley Zicker, was the first one to bring me pictures of Cougar Brown. But I found a bunch of other information about him, and I'm going to do more stuff on him because it's a fascinating story. Some people say he was an American, not a criminal escape, but he came up here to escape his life down there for some reason or other, and Cougar Brown wasn't even his real name, or Harry Brown wasn't his real name. But there's Jan Peterson wrote a couple of books, and she left me a message on the phone one day saying that if I wanted more information, I could go look at her books. But I kind of like to get people's memory myself, and rather than just rewrite what somebody wrote before, because sometimes they didn't necessarily get it right. And I hear that a lot from people that, if you read this, well, that wasn't quite true. But I'm not making it up. I'm only telling everybody what other people remember.
You want to write what's true.
Well, it's true as
make
you
it
can
sound
get.
good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, because there is a story like down about Franklin River, and it was reprinted in the local paper where Stan Malachowski was the only one, I think, that survived. It was a train wreck.
Yeah.
And that. And what was printed in the local paper was like his wife was in my sorority, and when she came to the meeting, everybody said, you see.
This was just recently?
No, quite a long time ago. And Alice said that he said it wasn't all true what was in the paper about the story.
It's like a book that they wrote in the valley behind what was the name of that book that we got, that the Halfpennies were in. It was sort of based on them, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I think it was maybe one of Jan Peterson's books.
Well, wasn't that the one you're thinking of, Meg Tibet? They put together that she'd written, and she said it wasn't. They said in the beginning that it wasn't.
Meg Tibet, I knew her fairly well because she was still at the Alberni Valley Times.
She grew up out here, this old house that you can't buy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So she grew up.
She was very good. She was a good writer, and she got her facts right. So
yeah, well, yeah.
Anything she wrote with her name on it, I have complete faith in it. But you can go back and you have to talk to people who were there and still have a fairly clear memory. Because even then, they'll say, geez, I swear it was a hot summer day, and it turns out it was November. So, but your mind, your memories, you can remember certain details about things. You can tell me what everybody was wearing. But old Keith McKenzie at Alberni Hardware, I'd ask him some stuff because he was always telling me stories for years and years and years.
See, as far as I'm concerned, Home Hardware stole a place off of.
Well, that's a whole other story. Yeah, he agrees. They should never have left First Avenue. They should have told
Where's Keith at now?
He's passed away now.
He's passed away.
Yeah, he passed away not too long ago.
I know he was there a while ago, but now I see they're working on the property, so I just wondered if he was in some homes or.
He was in a home. He was in the home, and he passed away. But I talked to him about a year or so ago because I was doing a story, and I knew he knew about it. But he says, Ike, I know what you're talking about, but don't ask me when it happened because my sense of time is all gone. He says, I can't tell you the year or whatever. He says he lost all that.
They took his house away from him and everything.
It was, he had some bad legal advice, and he told me himself this, it's gospel, he said, we got cheated by the lawyers and the bank, or the credit union was at the time they were dealing with. And he had some personal issues too with his grandson and his son. And you're right, Home Hardware did, I don't know if you would use the word trick them, but they should never have gone. When Home Hardware wanted to go to a big new store, he said, we should have just told them, go to hell.
Of course, it looked good.
What's that?
It looked good when he went in with Home Hardware.
He said it was starting, when he first went in with them, but they kept getting demanding, and you'd have to do this, do that, and he said, it was okay at the beginning, but we should have realized, he said, I should have realized that they got ruthless and they...
The only thing he told me was that he had mortgaged his house to try and keep the business.
Yeah.
But they took the house and they couldn't throw him out of it.
No. And they lost the place. They had a little place on the other side of the island. They lost that too.
He lost that?
Yeah. They lost, he said...
Last time I talked to him, I told him, I said, don't put that up.
No.
Leave that out of it.
See, that store, the business was his life. Just like this farm was yours. He'd go down to that store like clockwork every day. Sundays, holidays when it wasn't open, that was his life. Even when he fell down the stairs and he broke his arm and that, he was still in the store. And that was his life. Yeah. So, yeah, and they figured he even had a heart attack, and he still, as soon as he could.